The Sciforror Film Podcast. Hello, I'm Andy Walker, and welcome to another extra episode of the Sciforror Film Podcast. And I'm joined today by actress, director, and producer Lisa Belcher. Hello, Lisa. How are you doing?
Hey, I am wonderful. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk with you.
It's good to have you on the show. Now we reviewed your film House of Abraham, which is that actually is it been released yet, or is it still doing sort of festivals and things like that at the moment?
Yeah, great question. It's kind of had a journey. I'll take you through it real quickly. So it opened in limited theaters across the U.S. Last year, and then up on streaming in the U.S. on Amazon, Apple, Google Play, and YouTube, and then just most recently on Blu-ray and DVD, which is super exciting. And then around the world is coming very soon. So maybe by the time you're watching this, it's available everywhere. So yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Okay, I'm going to start off with a question I ask everyone, which is how did you get into acting and directing? And as this seems to be your first sort of foray into horror, how have you got into doing that?
Yeah, good question. So I don't know. When I was a kid, a teenager, I just loved watching movies and I loved the idea of photography. I was a photographer, and what things we put in our frame, what we don't put in our frame, and so that was just an exciting idea for me. And I thought this is something I want to do. And so as I was getting ready to go to college, I thought, oh, I met someone who was getting a film degree, and I thought, perfect, this is what I'll do. And then my parents said, nope, we're not going to pay for a degree like that. And so I got a business degree in marketing, which I don't regret. It's show business, for a reason there. So it just I went along with the business degree and learned all of that, and it took a little while until I really got into it. But I think if we have a passion, and there's nothing that can stop us, but sometimes there's timing that's right or not right. So I really kind of got into it a little bit later than in my teens, and I started. Let's see. I started with screenwriting. I was based in Austin, Texas, and took a class by Jill Chamberlain. I'll give her a shout out. She's got a book called The Nutshell Technique, which is my favorite book on screenwriting. If you're interested in screenwriting, this is the best way to start. So I started writing screenplays, and then I got on film sets and kind of learned the way of things. And then I fell into acting by total accident, which is a joy of mine as well and really helps inform my directing. So I directed my first short, let's see, it was in 2014. I was living in Hong Kong. That was kind of the first official project that I directed. And I've done a bunch of shorts and other projects since then. But House of Abraham is my first feature to direct. So, yeah.
Okay. And you got your own production company called Jump Rock Pictures,
Yep.
is
Yeah.
that? And
I
and you're
founded,
based in Austin, Texas, yes?
yeah. Yeah. That I started that over in Hong Kong and then moved it into Austin. So, yeah, it's been a Texas kind of filmmaking.
Okay. So I mean, House of Abraham is I think a kind of psychological horror film. What made you decide to pick that for your first feature?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I think story is the most important part for me. That has to be working. And all of my shorts, I've directed westerns, comedies, a parody, dramas, family films. I've touched on a lot of different genres, but I think at the heart of them all, I need to have a good story. And so Lucas Hassel, who wrote the script for House of Abraham and plays the role of Abraham, he and I had collaborated on another project, a short film called Guest of Honor, um, and just realized that we were worked really well together. We both had I guess high standards as far as storytelling goes, and so we thought we and I'm also a producer, so I was looking at trying to raise money for my comedy western, and I was just running into a bunch of closed doors. And so Lucas and I were talking, and I'm like, let's do a one room horror, meaning one room, not a lot of location, our company moves, and which means lower budget. And horror is something per my research that can sell all over the world, and you don't necessarily have to have those A-list names in there. So and yeah, this was my first experience with horror. So when I kind of mentioned that to him and he pitched me his idea for House of Abraham, it was off to the races from there. So yeah, that's kind of how it got started.
Okay. Was it, I mean, one of the things I was saying, was it easy to direct somebody who wrote the story? Or, were there any kind of like bits where he wanted it to go one way and you wanted it to go a different way? Did you, not conflicts necessarily, but were there any kind of moments like that?
Yeah, no, that is a great question because it is very sort of collaborative, but at the end of the day, the director kind of has the final say.
Yeah,
Um, I think this is one of the reasons, at least I think House of Abraham works, but one of the things that made it great was the collaboration between Lucas and myself. We often agree, but there are a lot of times where we don't agree, and we both really handled those disagreements well. We respect each other, we listen to each other's ideas, and we really, I believe, make the best decision for the project. And we had a lot of hard conversations and things for that. So I think going into it, I believe Lucas trusted me as the director. I trusted him in his acting role. And we really kind of, even though he wrote the script, we did craft a lot of the characters and build a lot of the story together. So going into it, we'd fleshed a lot of that out and we're really, for the most part on the same page when we went into it. So I honestly can't think of a moment where there was any conflict. I think he trusted me, and when you're in front of the camera, you need to lean on that director as far as what's
yeah,
what's going on. So there might have been moments where I was like, no, try this way or that way, but in general, it was fabulously easy because he created this role, and so he really knew so much. He knew Abraham inside and out, and that's part of the reason his performance is so fabulous, I think. So
yeah, yeah. No, I get that. Then of course you got Natasha Henstridge, who people know because she was in Species, and the fabulous Lynn Shay, who's been in a number of different horror films and was in the Insidious franchise. How did I mean? They're quite a how it's quite a coup getting people like that, names like that into your first feature. How did you go about getting them on board?
yeah, no, great question. So Lucas had worked with both of them before.
Okay.
So he actually wrote the role of Beatrice for Lynn, which is just so perfect, had her in mind. And so he reached out to both of them and sent them the script. And thank goodness they both fell in love with it and were really excited to come on board. So that's how that happened. I mean, going through an agent and all the steps and everything and trying to get to the actor and want to connect creatively is hard when you have, I mean, agents are there for a reason. They help manage the money and all of that sort of stuff, but they kind of are the gatekeepers, right? So because Lucas had that relationship, he was able to bring the script directly to them. And then then I made the deal with the agents, and it all worked out. It was great. And both of them were incredible collaborators and just so wonderful to work with. So
I mean, what I liked about it, I mean, as I say, it's more of a psychological horror than it is a kind of like jump scare or slasher type horror. But there are a few moments in it that are kind of where there are sort of jumps and there are kind of some slightly more bloody moments and things like that. But I mean, um, One of the ones that we were quite impressed with was the underwater scene. How easy was that to put together? Because that looked like it was quite an intense sort of scene.
It was an intense scene. I'm super proud of the result and the way it came out, but it was a lot of work and a lot of people involved and all of that. I mean, starting from the very beginning with working with a fabricator in Austin to design the cage for under the water. So that was a kind of a big starting point. And then obviously the location and finding we needed to find a house with a pool. So
Yeah,
finding kind of all of that as far as the right look of it. And then probably the next most important part was the safety factor, because obviously my actors, Lucas and Will Magnuson, were underwater a significant amount of time, which is just draining on them as actors. They both were so tough and willing to take additional takes and all of that. But Jeff Schwan was, just to give him a shout out, he was our stunt coordinator. So he just helped to make sure everybody was safe, and the top of the cage was sort of placed on almost with Velcro. So when Will was in the cage, we would do takes, and any moment if he was needed to pop up for a breath, he could push it up, but also Lucas was right there to help
right.
if we were kind of wider. But as we were in close, we had a couple of divers that were there that would come in to help to make sure everything was safe. So it went really well as far as every being comfortable. I've heard Lucas say a few times at the end his vision was a little fuzzy from being under the chlorine all the time. So and we had to heat the pool because it was a whole day and a half because we had a lot of shots outside of the pool, and then we had an underwater camera.
Yeah,
So my cinematographer Alex Walker had to get in a wetsuit and get underwater with that. So yes, there were a lot of moving parts, and then even taking it into post production, the sort of the journey of the intensity of it. Not to nerd out and get too many details, but there's a crescendo moment, and then there's another moment, and so getting the music right and working with Stefan Schmidt, my composer, was really important to get that. And even though I've seen it so many times, I still kind of hold my breath and tighten up and cringe during
yeah,
that scene. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, I was really impressed with how you built the atmosphere throughout the film. And it's interesting. We were saying that, I mean, we've said it before on the show, that there are a number of times when you watch films and the directors don't allow the scene the space, both with the actors and the action, and also with the soundtrack.
Hmm.
They don't allow the space for the atmosphere to build up. And I thought you did that really, really well. Is that
Oh.
something that did you consciously make a point of leaving sort of like space with the music and the sound effects so that there were empty spaces?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for that. And yes, I do believe if you have constant music, you don't have that. The silence can be just as powerful as the music, and the music can come in and add to, in this case, the fear or the horror in the situation. But also the absence of sound is very can be powerful too. And I can tell that you found that. I'm trying to think of a moment where we purposefully took out sound. There were spots where we were, okay, do I want to keep sound here or not? And just post production is a really fun but important journey for me, and I love working with the whole team. The my editor, just going through the different passes and making sure we got that right first, and then working with sound design. And to give one little nerdy thing, so Nathan Rule is my sound designer, and so the House of Abraham is supposed to be out in the middle of nowhere, right? She takes a long drive to get there. And the purpose for that is if they're scared and they want to leave, they can't just flag a taxi out in the front, right? Because it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
So I think storytelling there's so many tools and departments and aspect of filmmaking that help to tell that story. So sound was a big one that helped that. And so when Nathan took his first pass and the exteriors in the front of the house and even in the pool scene. There's a lot, I don't know the right terms for it, but there was sound that helped make the space feel vast
Yeah.
and the wildlife in the background. I remember there was a woodpecker, and at one point there's a woodpecker, and we were like, "Oh wait, no, too much woodpecker. Okay, wait, no, add the woodpecker back." Like it, so all of that. There's so many of those things that hopefully get the viewer in that space that you want them to be, and not take them out of the story. So
Yeah, yeah. No, it was very easy to get drawn into the whole story and the whole atmosphere of the story and that. And sorry, I like the fact that there are layers to the story within the film, and you're not kind of like you're drip fed storylines all the way through for the different people, and it kind of builds up layers within the film, and I think it really works well. And I mean, I should imagine a lot of that was down to Lucas's original story, but I would imagine there's also a certain amount of that is you being able to transfer that idea and that story onto the screen. So, I mean, how easy did you find that the sort of layering of the stories and the layering of the backstories for each of the individual characters?
yeah, no, that's awesome that you could see that. Lucas and I both believe that I think it's important to give the audience enough, but not too much. Sometimes if you spoon feed them and give them too much exposition, that's no, as an audience member, I want to sit and try to figure it out and be given a small thing. And audiences are smart; they see little things. There was little purposeful um, places in there, like this isn't a spoiler, but in the very beginning, when Dee arrives at the house, she kind of runs her fingers through these flowers in the entrance, and that was purposeful. And everything has a purpose, and I don't want to waste anyone's time in that audience. Every single thing that I'm showing you or telling you or you want to hear is important.
Yeah,
And I think that, and also keeping that concise. So in the edit, not letting cutting anything that we don't need. I could go into the edit. Well, I will for one second. The first scene in the dining room scene, the script, I think it was 14 pages, which equals about 14 minutes. But the first rough cut was about 20 minutes for that long dining room scene. And there's a lot of information that you need to know in order to go on this journey that is the House of Abraham. And
yeah,
so when I was in the edit, I was like, okay, wait, how much can we cut? Because I didn't want to lose people. It was a long scene. So I took a lot of little bits that, they don't need to know this, they don't need to know that. And just keeping you paying attention. Because if you lose someone's attention, then it's hard to get it back.
yeah. No, yeah, I got to say, I really liked the film. I like, see, I like all types of horrors, and I think that there is room for all types of horrors, and psychological horrors, I think, are very underplayed. Um, People don't seem to appreciate them as much as they do the ones that are like blood and guts and all that kind of thing. But I think that they have a really important place within the horror genre. Um, I've got to say the thing that still gets me about your film is the fact that even by the end I'm not absolutely sure of the relationship between Abraham and Lin Shaye's character, because you're not quite sure exactly what that relationship is or how it came about. And I like that there's still those kind of um, questions, if you like, that aren't totally answered.
Yeah. No, that was definitely by design. Let me put a pin in that really fast and comment to what you said a second ago about psychological horror. I think one of the things that I love about this film is every horror there is a scary monster, right? And oftentimes it's a demon or something supernatural, but in this story our monster is human nature, and to me that's terrifying, and
Yeah,
those are the kinds of stories that I like. So and that's the psychological aspect, right?
yeah.
uh, but yeah, the backstory about Lynche, we get questions a lot about that particular scene, and I love that. It's kind of, we can put that in the audience. We tease, and you see the little tattoo on her arm. what does that say? How long has she been there? I mean, we could tell a whole prequel on Beatrice's story at arriving at the House of Abraham. So
Yeah,
I love that little tease in there. So yeah,
yeah, no,
let me know
it's
when you
good.
figure it out.
It is good. And I mean, the other thing is the fact that what I liked about it is that there are twists as you go through the story, and they're not glaringly obvious twists that you kind of like as soon as they happen, you go, oh yeah, well I was expecting that. They're not that expected, but and I liked that the fact that you managed to um, keep those twists kind of hidden within the story.
Thank you.
Sorry. Um, so this is going to be hope it's going to be coming out in the UK at some point. Is it going to be streaming, do you think, or will it be put onto can it be will it be able to be bought on physical media or both?
Yeah, at the moment, it's unknown. Our sales agent had it at Cannes and is having a few conversations, so we'll see. But we will definitely be announcing it on our social medias, kind of our Instagram. It's House of Abraham movie is probably the main spot where we kind of announce all our stuff, and hopefully you'll share it as well. So yeah, it's a whole journey getting an independent film out there and not being a big
Yeah,
studio. But yeah, hopefully it will be.
good, good. Okay, so what next? Are you going to be doing any more horror films? Are you going to be making anything connected to this film, or do you move on to something new and bigger and better?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm always up for the sequel, of House of Abraham, whatever that might be. But we're still on the journey of getting this film out there. So we'll see. But my next project actually is an extreme departure from horror. I will be directing a romantic comedy, kind of female-led comedy, and we'll be back in Austin. Hopefully, that'll go into production in spring of 2027. It takes place in the romance novel industry,
Okay.
and we've got Fabio, the cover model. He's attached to do a cameo, and it's called Dirty Words. So. Dirty Words movie is out there. If you want to check it out, we started our social media already. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope I look forward to this coming out over here whenever it does, and look forward to your future projects, whatever they may be. I hope it does. The House of Abraham does really well for you, and I hope that your future projects do just as well. Thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been
Well,
really good to talk to you, and it was good of you to let us watch the film for us to do the review. That was really nice of you.
yeah, well, thank you so much. And like I said earlier, we're not a big studio, so we appreciate people like yourself talking about it, and anyone else out there who likes it. If you tell your friends, that's kind of how the word's going to get out there. So I'm really grateful when people like it, and I have fans reach out all the time who really dig it. So hopefully more
Well,
and more
this
people will see it.
I believe. I mean, this did do festival
Yeah.
run, didn't it?
We played Romford Festival
Yeah,
out there, and a few festivals in the US. We did a theatrical run first, and kind of anything is up in the air these days. So we're still playing a few festivals here and there, and we're still out there. So
I know. I know that when this played Romford, because that's local to me, to where I live. So
okay.
I know this when this played Romford, it was very well accepted there. It was lots of people were talking about it there. So it made an impression on that's for sure.
I love to hear that. Well, we got the Best Feature Film Award, so yeah, I was really happy for that. I wish I could have come out. That would have been cool.
Yeah, no, it's good. Okay, thank you for being on the show. Everybody out there, I will put links up to Lisa's social media so you can keep an eye on what's happening with House of Abraham and future projects. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you to everybody out there for watching and listening. And we'll be back again soon. Bye. The Sciforror Film Podcast.